Stars that are invisible and consequently have no name move in space together with those that are visible. Lambert, in his cosmological letters, admits the existence of, quote, dark cosmological bodies of great size. Now, if all this is true, this may solve the problem of what do we do with things like this Planet X Nibiru thing, which even in the spinning heliocentric globe model is reckoned to be a dark planetary body. So, and of course, scientists are all talking about dark matter and everything today, even in that standard model. So, if people can talk about dark bodies in the spinning heliocentric globe expanding universe model, then why couldn't we apply the same thing to the flat Earth enclosed model? What if there are dark bodies within the dome? Robotham continues. We have now seen that the existence of dark bodies revolving about the luminous objects in the firmament has been admitted by practical observers from the earliest ages, and that in our own day such a mass of evidence has accumulated on the subject that astronomers are compelled to admit that not only dark bodies, which occasionally obscure the luminous stars when in conjunction, but that cosmological bodies of large size exist, and that, quote, one at least is attached as a satellite to this Earth, end quote. It is this dark or, quote, non-luminous satellite, end quote, which, when in conjunction or in line with the moon and an observer on Earth, is the immediate cause of a lunar eclipse. That's page 116 of Zetetic Astronomy by Dr. Samuel Robotham. And actually, as I continued to search this out, I found some interesting things within the Hindu religion. Now, look, I'm not going to say I'm going to put any authority on Hindu scriptures over biblical scriptures. I'm not taking my doctrine from the Hindus. But, I think if we're going to be true Zetetic explorers or people who are on a genuine quest for truth, doing investigation by observation and inquiry, then we have to look at the available evidence. Now, the Bible doesn't tell us how eclipses are caused, so we don't get any information. At least not that I'm aware of. Somebody's free to message me and tell me otherwise, but as far as I know, the Bible doesn't tell you how a solar or lunar eclipse takes place, like the mechanics of it, how it happens. So, and if these astronomers, at least from the 1800s and from antiquity, are admitting that there are dark objects in the sky, then we would expect it to show up in the literature of other people around the world. And indeed we do. The Hindus have these interesting characters called Rahu and Ketu in their mythology. And I got this website here when I looked it up. Let us now take a closer look at the mythical origin of the dark demon Rahu. In old Indian tales, Rahu storms across the heavens in a dark chariot drawn by 8 black horses as swift as thought itself. He pursues the orbs of sun and moon, snapping at their heels with his huge jaws. In another version of the myth, however, only Rahu's head still exists floating above the firmament, having been severed by Indra, the sun god, as the dark demon tried to steal the vital drink of the gods. Nonetheless, this decapitation did not hinder him from continuing to fly through the heavens and swallowing the sun and moon. It is just that these now passed through him unharmed and soon reappeared, freed from the lower end of his throat. In astronomical terms, this process signifies the end of the solar or lunar eclipse, respectively. So basically, they have this idea of this floating head of a god out there that tries to swallow up the sun and moon, but obviously, because it's decapitated, the sun and moon just exit the other side. So that would give the illusion that we see in the sky from a mythological perspective of this rounded object coming up on the moon, and then the moon going through it and then coming out the other end. So you can kind of see where they get that idea from. And you can look them up on Wikipedia or elsewhere online. This is Rahu right here and Ketu right here. So if nothing else, here's some things to think about, okay? Again, I'm just exploring this stuff. I'm trying to put pieces together, see what could be, what might be other ways to look at things that we've been taught our whole life. But I just want to say that the issue of the lunar eclipse is sort of falling apart as it pertains to being a solid argument that would keep me tied to the globe model. In other words, I'm finding evidence both scientifically, at least from the 1800s, people writing in various scientific journals, as well as historical accounts of the ancients talking about a dark body that could be responsible for causing the moon to go into lunar eclipse. And frankly, the whole idea of the moon going into a blood red lunar eclipse while the sun is still up, in my mind, obliterates the whole idea that the lunar eclipse is due to the sun, earth, and moon being in a line and the moon in the shadow of the earth. It doesn't work.
Hi, guys.